And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's about that time. We're going to hear words of wisdom and moments of meditation from my main man, T-Boz. Good morning, T.
Good morning, Jock. Good morning, everyone. Thursday has been renamed by Mr. Williams Friday Eve. And happy to say that. Come on in, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. WAPJ put a whole bunch of chairs over here. I know we're all spread out with some social distancing. Get your little pads that we give away at the door. Just, Jock, leave the door open. I think some more people are piling in. The classroom is open. Come on in. Come on in. All are welcome. All thoughts, all ideas, and, of course, all hearts are welcome. Couple of quick shout-outs, and then we're going to get to our topic, and we have some things to talk about before we even get into the topic. And so hang on, boys and girls. As Betty Davis said, this is going to be a bumpy ride. So first shout-out, Sasso's Friday night with the Posse, the Marty Q Band. Boys and girls, when you see Marty Q, you've seen the best. Marty on saxophone, amazing guitar. Eddie Zarelli on lead guitar. Mike McCartney on bass. Yes, McCartney on bass, but it's not a left-handed bass. And then Mike Migaroli on drums. I'm telling you, they put on a show. We're there, the Posse, all 8 of us, right in the band room. Food is great. I had the linguine with the capers and the tomatoes. Jock, so good. And I had a nice Stella beer. Boys and girls, expand your mind. There's more than Schaefer and Rango. Treat yourself to a Stella. It's a nice beer. Over to the Bad Dog. My friend Barbara brought this in. I wasn't able to attend, but the Bad Dog did a great thing with Dog Rescue on Sunday. Barbara was there. She was ecstatic. They made her feel good and happy. There's a little inkling what we're going to talk about today. And what a great thing Matt does using his brewery for community service, for helping the community at large, connecting people with pets. What a fabulous thing he's done over there. So 2 Torrington establishments. Sasso's on Friday, and then Barbara was at the Bad Dog. So, folks, we ask you to support these places, and they are doing their best, their very best, to make Torrington a wonderful place to live. And community is part of what we're going to be talking about today. The topic today is happiness, and the subtitle is, and it don't come easy. Now, before I start, a quick disclaimer. If you are someone suffering with depression or addiction or some severe problems such as abuse, whether it's spousal abuse or parental abuse or those types of things, this segment is not made to diminish what you're going through. I am not a professional psychologist. There are very good resources here in the city of Torrington that you can reach out to, and I encourage you to do so. What we're going to talk about today, happiness, is for those of us in the middle who are striving to try to understand the world, our lives, our spouses, our children, our careers, and those kinds of things. But my heart goes out to you. If you're suffering from something serious like that, and depression, please, there's the Susan B. Anthony project here for battered and abused women. Please reach out to them. And Jock, at the end of the show, will echo my sentiment. Please, and get the help that you very well need. So we're going to move into happiness. It don't come easy. Now, you're probably all saying, T-Boz, happiness. What the heck are you talking about? We're in the middle of a pandemic again. The supply chain is nothing on the shelves. We're waiting for refrigerators for months on end. The stock market is up and down. The gas is almost $5. And on top of that, we have the Ukraine. What the heck do we have to be happy about? How do we deal with this? So what I'm going to hope today is that we're going to explore happiness. We're going to break it into sections. There's going to be some personal stories of my own. We are going to get into some of the psychological definitions of happiness, not too deep there, just a brush over. You guys can do your homework if you want more information of that. We're going to be talking also about habits to form to create happiness. Of course, we're going to use our quotes and scripture pieces, and then how to extend happiness to others in our life, our loved ones. But just touching back to the Ukraine, we're all getting cranky about this snowstorm coming in. 4 to 8 inches, 8 inches to a foot, ice, all of that, right? We're aggravated. I'm aggravated. We're all aggravated, okay? My friends, the people in the Ukraine would switch what they have coming into their country, what we have. Now, happiness does not mean saying, oh, there's problems in the world, I don't care, I'm going out to dinner with my friends. That's not the kind of happiness we're talking about. We're talking about a deep happiness that even in trying times such as this, we have to elevate ourselves, as St. Paul says, to raise our eyes to the sky and realize that God is in control here. And Jock mentioned earlier in his program that we should find venues where we could reach out to these refugees, whether it's sending a check or sending goods, praying for these people. That is what a happy heart does. A saddened heart goes into the corner and hides its head. But we are a people of faith, different faiths. We talk about that on this show. But we are a people of faith. And our faith, people are going to be looking to us for strength. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. And so this very terrible situation, this madman, like a bunch before him, it's out of control. But how do we handle this? A friend of mine just texted me before the show and said, Boz, how do we handle this? How can you bring your listeners up a bit? And the way we bring ourselves up a bit is with faith, through Scripture, each other, and trying to find the bright light in the dark room, okay? And so happiness will help you do that. It doesn't mean to be clairvoyant and just saying, I don't care about the problem. It means maybe being a solution to the problem. And a joyful heart and a happy heart can do that. Okay, we're already 20 minutes in here. We got to get rolling. So happiness, it don't come easy. The genesis for this is my own situation that happened Monday to me. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let me say something, boys and girls. You see a lot of inspirational speakers on TV, and they got beautiful hair and beautiful teeth. They're all smiling. Let me tell you something, boys and girls. If their bones are wrapped in flesh, they have miserable days like I had too. Just because I do this piece does not mean that everything in my life is hunky-dory. And so I draw from my own life experiences to share my open heart, my happy heart with you guys so that you can take away from my experiences and bring it into your own life and help yourself. Remember what we say in this program. When we're pointing the finger, they're three pointing back at you. So I'm a human being. I have ups, I have downs, and I have all around. So we're going to get into my down in a minute. Let's start with Nathaniel Hawthorne. And those of you who went to college and took English literature like I did probably know this one. And he says, happiness is like a butterfly. The more we pursue it, it flies or flees from our grasp. But if we sit still for a moment, the butterfly may just come and light upon us. Didn't we talk about that last week with be still and know that I am God, right? So we went through that exercise last week, and we ended up with the word be. So what Hawthorne is saying here is that we're at the elusive butterfly. We're chasing it. Happiness, it's Walmart, it's this, it's the car, it's the house, it's this, it's this. But sometimes, like Dorothy said at the end of The Wizard of Oz, right? She was looking for something to get out of Kansas to make her happy. And in the end, what does she say? The beautiful line at the end of that movie when she says, I'm not going to go any further than my own backyard. In other words, what she had that was making her happy was her aunt, her uncle, the farm hands, the people who she loved and were around her all the time. So that's what Hawthorne is talking about. Now, let's get into my story. Monday night, I was anything but happy. As you know, I'm a square dancer. I learned square dancing with my beautiful girlfriend, Veronica. Thankfully, she brought me into that genre, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, moving swiftly along. But with my disability is progressive. Okay, some people have a disability. I'm not putting it down, but they learn a trade or they learn something, and they learn it, and it stays that way. But in my case, my blindness is progressive, like MS. And so it keeps going away. So the square dancing that I learned 4.5 years ago, every year, every week, every month, I have to relearn, come up with new tricks, new ways to stay in the square so that I can still dance. It's not like I just learned this. Okay, I got it. I got to redo it all the time, every week. So Monday night, I'm square dancing. My older daughter, Emily, has joined the club. She loves it with her boyfriend, Storm. That's his real name, and his middle name isn't Storm Door. Get it? Okay, so anyway, so we're in the square, but I was struggling. I was making a lot of mistakes, and I'm supposed to be her teacher. I couldn't find the turns I had to do. I was just not on my game. Then they left, and we went into the advanced, what they call plus, and I was still struggling, still banging into people, not being in the right place. Even Veronica said I went right when I should have went left. Well, boys and girls, when I got home, I called Veronica, and she's nodding right now. And I was anything but happy because my friends who are listening know how much I love square dancing. And I love doing it because being differently abled or disabled, whatever you want to call it, it's nice to be able to do something besides just sit around. I'm not a sitter. I'm a doer. And so I learned this with great practice because I overcome. Like I say when I speak in public, you're only limited by your attitude. But my attitude was in the gutter. And I was miserable, okay? Miserable because I was not able to do what I love to do. Now, what's the solution? Let's look at Lupita Young, all right? Now, she's a Nigerian actress. She won an Oscar in 2013 for a movie called 12 Years of Slavery. Listen to what she says as opposed to what I did. We're going to examine what I did more and more in terms of genetics and all of those kinds of things, okay? What Lupita says is, I discovered that happiness is not the absence of pain, but rather acknowledging the presence of pain and feeling happiness in spite of it. Wow. Feeling happiness in spite of it. In other words, in my not physical pain, but in my pain of not being able to do what I love due to my vision problem, okay, rather than deal with the pain and say, well, I did most of the night well, or I can stand, or I'm alive, I don't have a terminal illness at this point in my life. What I did is I went down in the gutter, and we're going to talk about genetics in a minute. I went down in the gutter, but what she is saying is that happiness is acknowledging the pain and being happy in spite of it. This is exactly what we're talking about with the Ukraine. We could let these situations of the world beat us down, beat the joy out of us. God wants us to be happy, but we have to. It's our responsibility as healthy beings is to be happy in spite of the pain. Now, I want to continue, but the time says we should. It's 11:27. Jock, why don't we do the sponsors? Because then once I get on a roll, we got a lot of ground to cover.
Will do. And we want to take this opportunity to recognize and thank our sponsors for allowing us to bring you the quality community programming that you are partaking of now. We want to give this opportunity to say thank you to the Nutmeg Conservatory for the Arts, Torrington Savings Bank, TDI, Torrington Distributors Incorporated, and Charlotte Hungerford Hospital. Thank you so very much for helping WAPJ keep the unity in the community. And now we'll turn the show back over to T-Boz.
We look at Philippians chapter 4, verse 11. Paul says, not that I am speaking of being in need. He wasn't in need at this point. Paul was in need and out of need. In need, but I have learned in all situations to be content. Content is another word for happiness. And Paul was in prison. Paul was out of prison. Paul went through a lot of things in his life. But what he's saying, in all situations, be content. So in other words, in my situation, and I'm going to keep using myself because my daughter says, Pop, be transparent. It doesn't pay to talk about somebody else. I'm going to talk about me to be more relatable. So in my situation Monday night, instead of being content with the fact that I have this beautiful woman in my life, that my daughter and her boyfriend want to take square dance lessons with us, that I'm surrounded by a group of great people, that we do have that. Instead of being content I went the other way. What happened to me? Attitude. Attitude is a big thing when it comes to happiness. Okay? We could either let our attitude make us, or we can let our attitude break us. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 12. I perceive that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live. So God wants us to do good. God wants us to be happy. But I was unhappy, and I was not content to look around the room and say, okay, I'm having a bad night, but look at the things I have to be happy about. Again, I'm going to go right back to the pandemic and the supply chain and the poor people in the Ukraine. We could look at all of that, but we do need to look and also be thankful and grateful for the things we have. Beyonce says, no one else can make you happy. You make you happy. So a lot of us sometimes are relying on things, on stuff, right? That stuff that they push across the TV screen and say, you need this, Jock Williams, to be happy. You need this, T-Boz, to be happy. You need this, Fred, to be happy. Well, Beyonce says it's you. And so happiness is an inside job. Happiness means a lot of things to a lot of people. Some people, it's maybe going on a cruise. Some people, it's hanging out in the backyard. Everyone has a different level of happiness. We're going to explore those things, too, as we move along. But I like what she says. In other words, so it was up to me Monday night, me, not Veronica, not my daughter. It was up to me to take that situation and turn it into something happy and say, okay, I'm going to correct my attitude. I had a bad night. I'll do better next week. I'm alive. I'm with friends. Okay. But no, I let my attitude bring me down. So I love what Beyonce says here. No one else can make you happy. We put too much emphasis on other people. Oh, if I hang out with this guy. Oh, if I date this girl. Oh, if I date that guy. Happiness is an inside job. It's up to you. Now, let's get into a little bit about what psychologists call subjective well-being. I'm not going to get too deep with this. It gets kind of confusing, but we're going to just do a skim coat of this and give you guys an idea of what psychologists talk about. Now, I don't buy into I kind of fall in the middle with all of this, but let's go through this. So what subjective well-being is people's self-evaluation of who they are. It encompasses a cognitive judgment of their satisfaction, of their lives, of how they're doing with things. Now, conjective, the word conjunction means that it's a mental awareness, okay, through thoughts and senses. So it's almost like doing your own critique of yourself. And so psychologists use subjective well-being as a measure of happiness, all right? So as you're going through your life, you're checking your moods, your emotions, and you're seeing where you stand with all of that. Now, there was a general social survey and it's a prominent survey, and what they did is they did a survey of subjective well-being, and they found that it is heritability, in other words, of happiness, the heritage of happiness. Happiness is genetic, and what they talk about in their genetic thing is starting points. In other words, what happened to me Monday night. As you go through life, as things sway your mood and change your mind or change your emotion, you come back to a set point. Psychologists call it a set point. And I could see that very clearly. My father was the same way. Things were going away. And then when things went badly, he kind of always reverted to the same way of handling a bad situation. He could be going good, and then he'd come back, and he'd always handle a bad situation the same way. So what psychologists are saying is that your set point, your baseline of how you handle mood changes, things like happened to me Monday night. I'm sure all of you listening might have had something happen to you this week, and instead of moving forward, you all of a sudden go right into that person, that Jekyll and Hyde person. And a lot of that is, they say, is genetic. Now, they've done tests on twins, identical twins especially, and they separated the twins, and they were reared differently. And when they brought them back together, their subjective well-being was the same. So even though they were in different households under different parents, when their mood changed or when circumstances changed their level of happiness, they reverted right back just as the other twin did. And so a lot of you may not agree with this. Say, well, I want to be in control of myself, and I agree with that. I'm not a genetic code. I'm not just rubber stamp person, but the research is very clear that 42 and 55% of your genetic makeup is how you handle your situations and your subjective well-being. Now, we can fight that. We can work against it. We can say, I don't want to handle problems the way my father did or grandfather did. But when you find yourself falling back to that, don't beat yourself up. There is a genetic code to happiness. Okay, now, moving away from the psychologist section, we're going to get into some other things. We're going to work into what I call happy habits. Now, how do you stay happy? Okay, here's some suggestions that I found, and I have a few of my own. One, smile. Your brain emits dopamine. That's where the word dope comes from, boys and girls. Your brain emits dopamine when you smile. And then we all heard the thing, it takes more muscle to make a frown than to make a smile. So smiling is a very good form of it may becoming a happy life. Exercise. Too many of us are sitting around. A healthy body, a body that exercises, will bring happiness, gets rid of anxiety, gets rid of stress. And again, you don't have to run the Olympics or go down a ski slope like we watched on the Olympics. Walking, doing things in the yard, doing things in the house. You got to move. A friend of mine, Pete McClintock, said, I'd rather wear out than rust out. And especially as we get older, we start to slow down a little bit. That's the wrong time to start slowing down, boys and girls. So exercise is a component of elevating your happiness. Sleep. I'm only a 5-hour-a-night guy, but according to research, adults need 7 to 8 hours sleep. That's how the body heals. The body heals itself when you sleep. So getting enough sleep can contribute to your happiness. If you're dragging, if you're always kind of dizzy, always in a bad mood, you're probably not getting enough sleep. Sleep should be the same amount of time, the same day. Do you realize that when you sleep in on the weekend, you throw off your clock? It causes you to be unhappy. So not that you want to go to bed at 9 o'clock on the weekend, but follow me with this. But having a more regular sleep pattern can contribute to your happy. Sometimes your moodiness, your down feeling is not having enough sleep. Eating with mood in mind, eating the right food. Fried food for older people is awful. Even younger people, processed foods are not good. Things like cold cuts. Eating right, what research has found is the healthier people are, the happier they are, because they can do things, okay, like square dancing. Well, sometimes, but moving along. So eating the right food, your body is a machine. The body is you, right? What Beyonce said, she says, only you can make you happy. Well, only you can put the things in your mouth to make you feel better. So eating a good balanced diet will help. Give a compliment to someone. There's something, hey, I know today it's kind of hard. You can't say to a woman, gee, your hair looks nice. You got to watch that in corporate. But try to find something nice. Boy, I like the way you did this. I like the way you did that. You did this well. Giving a compliment is a wonderful way of creating your happiness. Breathe deep when you're in a stressful situation. And that goes right back to our last week exercise, be still and know that I am God. Breathe deep. Breathe in and exhale. And realize that the situation you're in, just take a moment to analyze it. Breathe deep and set for a while. Here's some of my happy habits and things. Forgive without being asked. If someone has hurt you, forgive them. Even if you don't go up to them personally, have an attitude of forgiveness, okay? Forgiveness will give you that cleansing, that inner cleansing in your inside. Send a card to someone when it's not their birthday, it's not Mother's Day, it's not Valentine's Day. I mean, what that shows to someone is that you're thinking of them. And that will make you happy when that person calls. Oh, I can't believe you sent me a card that was so nice. I mean, the happier you make others, the happier you will be. Give more, not get more. It's another one of my happy habits. Give more, not get more. The research that I've done, happiness is not tied to stuff, boys and girls, okay? We're going to talk about this in a minute. So give more, not get more. Whether it's in your church or parish or in your community, if you can give 5, give 10. I don't always mean in dollars. If you can give 10, give 20. Give a little bit more. You'll feel a lot better. You will definitely feel a lot better. Here's something that I did a couple of years ago. Give something that you love, give it away to a friend or a spouse. I'll tell you a quick story. My parents had a delicatessen in Fairfield. They had a big beer hopper. And above the beer hopper was a beautiful sign from Budweiser. It was the wagon with the beer on it, the little kegs, and all the Clydesdales with all their beautiful mains, all done up nice. And they had the two little drivers that said Budweiser. And this thing was like 6 feet long, and it lit up, and it had a clock, and it said Budweiser. These things are highly collectible on the web. These things go from $300, $400, $500, $600. And so when my mother passed away, we cleaned out the house, and my siblings said, we don't want it. Why don't you take it? So I took it. I just had the sign. And I remember being 18 years old, opening up the deli. The first thing we used to do was turn on the Budweiser light. And there's all the Clydesdales, the wagon in red, beautiful, right? So I have this thing. I don't have like a man cave here, right? So, and I'm thinking, gee, I'm going to hang it up and this and that. And then God spoke to me. You know what God said to me? He said, Boz, you have a friend named Tom. And Tom does have a man cave, a beautiful man cave, has a bar there, pool table. I've been there many times. Veronica has seen it. And God said to me, Boz, why don't you give the sign to him? He's been a friend to you. He's driven you places. He's fixed things at your house. He's listened to you when you lost your wife. Give it to him. Don't give it to him. Well, I called Tom, and I gave it to him. And he and his son cleaned that thing up, and it proudly sits in his man cave where his bar is. It looks beautiful. And I also gave him a picture of my parents in the deli about the time when they had started their business, and he has that prominently to display with the Clydesdales. And so giving away something that I love, something from my past, gave me a great sense of joy and a great sense of satisfaction. So if you have something you love, it could be an old record, it could be something, I don't know. You guys can go through it. Give it to someone who has really impacted your life, someone who's mentored you, someone who's made you feel happy, someone who means, give it to them. Give it away. Give it away. You'll feel, I can't tell you, when I look back at my life, that's going to be one of the top 10 things I did, because the look on Tom's face when I gave that to, and when he brought Veronica and I over to show how he hung it above his bar and all of that, the look on his face, you can't buy it, boys and girls. You can't buy it. And our friendship is not based on that sign, but we do have a wonderful friendship, and I was so happy to give it to him. Tell someone you hurt, you're sorry. Yes, I've hurt people. I had to call my brother, my younger brother, a few weeks ago because something happened in our family, and I called him, and I thought I knew what I was talking about, and I wasn't. And so about a week went by, and I felt happier because I humbled myself, and I said that I was sorry. So if there's someone in your life you need to apologize to, sorry. Matthew chapter 5, verse 8 says, blessed are the pure, parentheses, happy in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the pure, the happy in heart. I was happy in heart when I apologized to my brother. I saw God. I was happy in heart when I gave. Our faith teaches us to give, not only in the basket, but in our time, in our resources, and all those kinds of things. Some other pathways to happiness. Learn to do something different. Get out of doing the same thing the same way all the time. John Cage, says this. John Cage, he's an avant-garde musician, says this. Now, Jock is going to love this. Now, hang on to your pens, boys and girls, because you're going to love this. This is not the takeaway. It could have been, but listen what John Cage says. He says, I can't understand why people are frightened of new things. I'm frightened of the old ones. Wow. I don't understand why people are frightened of new things. I'm frightened of the old ones. What is he talking about? Your mindset. Maybe you're unhappy because you're still hanging on to the past. The past is the past, okay? Maybe we've made bad choices. Maybe we didn't put enough money away for retirement. Maybe we didn't go to college. Maybe we didn't marry the right girl or guy. Maybe. You're hanging on to old things. Don't be frightened by new experiences, new people. Like my friend Barbara was all excited because when she went to the brewery for the bad dog rescue piece, she said, "Oh, I met some new people. I'm making some new friends. I'm so excited. I'm going to be able to give my time and help these dogs and be a foster home." And she was thrilled. Why? Because she was becoming part of something, and she was not saying, "Well, that's me. I don't change." So I love what John Cade says. I don't know why people are frightened by new things. I'm frightened of the old things, the old way of thinking. So sometimes you're not happy because you're not changing your way of thinking. And also, too, this wonderful quote from Lion King deals with, again, the past. Sometimes we're not happy because we're just dragging that crap from 20 years ago. We don't want to let go of it and things that we've done, and so we're dragging that with us. But this famous quote from Lion King, it's great, and it says, "The past can really hurt." Okay? The past can really hurt. You can either learn from it or run from it. Are you running? Is that why you're not happy? Because you're running? Part of being happy, it says, is acknowledge the unhappiness. Do not pretend that it didn't happen. Experience true happiness. Unlock happiness by dealing with the past. Don't hide from it. So if you've had some situations in the past, okay, don't let that burden you down from future happiness. Like Risky said in Lion King, you're either going to learn from it or you're going to run from it. Learn from it and then create new happiness in your life. But stop dragging that thing. I can see it behind you. It's tied to your shirt. You've been dragging it into the classroom every week you've been here. Get rid of it. And when you get rid of that, you will feel a sense of happiness. I love what Mahatma Gandhi says, too. Happiness is when and what you think, say, and do are in perfect harmony. So if you're thinking good thoughts, if you're letting go of the past, if you're helping some people, you can feel happy. Like Jocko, we talked about the community. Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10 says, "Then he said to them, 'Go your way and eat the fat and drink sweet wine and send portions to anyone who is in need. Do not be grieved, for the joy of the Lord is your strength.'" The joy of the Lord is your strength. Eat the fine wine, but give to people in need. This goes right back to our opening with Ukraine. As Jock said at the opening of his show, find a vehicle that you can help. Instead of saying, "Oh, my God, the poor people of Ukraine," do something if you want to be happy. Just what Nehemiah says. Give to those who are in need. Why? And don't grieve. Why? Because the joy of the Lord is your strength. We'll get through this pandemic. We'll get through this thing with the Ukraine. We'll get through the divorce. We'll get through the job loss, because the Lord, the joy of the Lord, not the miracle of the Lord, not the abracadabra of the Lord, but the joy that was planted in your heart at birth, the joy of the Lord will be your strength. Your strength. Quick exercise. You can't do this, not interactive. Things you can ask yourself as we're almost done with the show. How is your SWB? Your subjective well-being. Okay? What three things it causes or contributes to your happiness and to the person you're living with, whether it's your wife or spouse, significant other? Do you know what makes them happy? Do you know how you can create some happiness for them? Now, I'm not going against what Beyonce said. It's up to you. That's true. But if you are truly happy in yourself, then you can share your love and your happiness to another person. C.S. Lewis says it beautifully when he says, "When we are such as he can love," he is God, right? When we are such as he can love, without impediment, which means without instructions, without impediment, we shall in fact be truly happy. So when we can love other people, we can do what Nehemiah says, give to people, when we can develop habits of love, of giving away things, of compassion, then C.S. Lewis says, without the impediment, the obstruction, then we can be truly happy. Some of you don't know this guy. This guy's name is Cameron Jabil Tomaz. The jock's going, oh my God, Boz, how did you know him? His stage name is Wiz Khalifa. He's a rapper. You ready for this? You don't need too many people to make you happy. You only need a few good ones who appreciate you for you. So if people can love you, you can love yourself. We talked about that. That's another form of happiness. So you don't need a lot of people to be happy. But what you need is a few good ones who can appreciate you for you. You are a good person. You are eligible. You are supposed to be happy. Now, you are going to have days like I did, okay? But then you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. All right, we're coming into the home stretch. One quick Bible verse, and then we're going to get to the takeaways. I love this one, Psalm 37, verse 4. Delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. In other words, what you want to be happy, right? You want to have family. What's his name here? Arthur Brooks says that there's 4 factors to happiness. Faith, we talk about that a lot on this show. Family, obviously. Community, Jock always promotes that on his show. And meaningful work, all right? So these dominate our sense of happiness. So when it says the desires of your heart is you want to have a strong faith. I hope you want to be with your family. Could be extended family. Could be your parents divorced, and then there's other kids, and you become a new homogenized family. It's fine. Okay, that's all good. All right. Your work, if you're doing work that's good, that helps other people. Okay, meaningful work. And then community. Jock talks about all of that. We're all part of a community, society. This thing with Ukraine, that's a community. We're a community of carers. We're a community of people that are hurting for these people. There's other communities besides just the community of Torrington. And I think Jock will believe in that, agree with that. So you want to get into a community and maybe do something, right? The Protestants have a wonderful quote. They say, God can move mountains, but you got to bring a shovel. Okay? So, I mean, to be happy, you got to be in motion. You got to do something, right? And so Arthur Brooks talks about that the 4 factors, and you could look into that a little bit more. We're coming into the takeaways. I got one funny takeaway, something to kind of lighten the mood a little bit here, and then 2 good takeaways. All right, the first funny takeaway, and everyone knows where I'm going to go with this because people say, yeah, but, money is going to make you happy. I mean, let's face it. You got a couple $100 in your pocket. Johnny Depp says this, money cannot buy happiness, but it can buy a big yacht so you can drive up to it. So those of you in the audience saying, yeah, but, I agree with you, Boz, but, a couple of bucks won't hurt. There you go. Johnny Depp's definition of happiness. It can buy a big yacht and you can drive up to it. The Dalai Lama says happiness is not something ready-made, right? Our title is Happiness, It Don't Come Easy. It's not something ready-made. He says that it comes from your own actions. We've been talking about that all morning long. It's an inside job. That's what Beyonce said. It comes from your own actions. My actions Monday night were not in line with what the Dalai Lama said. I went the whole other way, aggravated, ticked off, like we said, with heritability, genetic code, but I am intelligent. I think I could have relied on my scripture verses. I could have relied on my girlfriend, my daughter, and I could have pulled myself out of an unhappy mood. Here's the closer, and my friend Barbara says she loves the takeaway. She's going to love this, okay? And this is by Omar Khayyam. He was born in 1048. No, Jock and I were not around then, 1048. And he says this, be happy for this moment. For this moment is your life. Bingo. Be happy for this moment. For this moment is your life. Boys and girls, there's no guarantee that we're all going to be here a minute from now. Be happy in this moment. I love that. For this moment is your life. That's you, Lynn. That's you, Jock. That's you, Veronica. That's you, Fred. That's you, Jim. That's you, Stan. That's you, Barbara. That's you, Mike. That's you, Mary. Your life. Be happy. It don't come easy. Jock?
Wow. As the moments do continue to pass by, I think it's very gratifying to know that we can contain those moments and actually have them have meaning in our lives. And when we surround ourselves with people that give us those types of sentiments, then that just makes the journey that much more worthwhile. So, as always, you hit the nail on the head. And I know that I, for one, am much happier after hearing words of wisdom and moments of meditation from you, T-Boz. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, listen to the song, everyone, and take the pencils home with you this week. This way you'll have the pencils and you'll be happy. Thank you, Jock, for this opportunity. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy the snow tomorrow. It'll be spring before you know it. Bye-bye.